Hello everybody, this is Max Farrell, this is DexIndicators.net and DexTrader.com, and I wanted to make this video for all you 5-minute traders that may be struggling a little bit with a few details. Detail number one, okay? A lot of you want to have the idea that you follow every single signal, and the answer is no. The reason why the signals are there and they fire off is that it is referred to as an event, okay? The idea of the signal for the MDM is a posture of time and direction. That's basically what we're looking for. When it hits a certain level and it crosses that level, we refer to this as a breakthrough on momentum. And that's what we're looking for. But what you need to do is not to be so close up to the system that you can't see what it has done already. Okay? These particular things of taking more of a macro look, even though that you're on a micro trade of a 5-minute trade, having a macro look is very important. So what I want to do is I want to step back just a little bit. The first thing that I want to do in basically doing any type of trading is to consider trend, okay? We want to look at what is the trend right now. And in a 5-minute trading process, the trend is going to shift a lot, right? But you can kind of look at this as what is the overall trend on this pair that we're on right now? We're sitting on the AUD USD on a 1-minute chart. Well, the overall trend, as you could possibly see, higher lows, higher highs. As we're going here, you can see that up to this point, we're in an uptrend. So once you kind of figure that part out, that the process of finding the trend, I really only want to stay with trades that are what? That are for buys, okay? And with that said, that's validation number one, right? So validate trend. In this particular set of having trades go down at this point, now you wouldn't know, you could actually come back to even here and look at this, that's the actual trend coming down. So I would only go with trades that were, of course, heading down. Now, of course, if you go with every single one that's going to come off, if you just use this process, you'll probably get into this one here and maybe this one, but you're going to lose this one. So that's 33%, okay? We're not looking for those kind of odds. But what you can do is that as you see this one here, we can use the MACD as a process of consideration, right? And we call this exhaustion. If we see a setup like this to where we get a couple of up signals and then a down and then, you know, a couple up signals, then a down, this first one tells us, hey, look, pay attention, right? Keep your eyes open. The second one that comes on is telling us, okay, we have momentum because we can verify that by the MACD because it's heading in a 45-degree angle. Now, what does that mean, 45-degree angle? Simply enough that it kind of looks like this. If this is a 90-degree angle here, then the 2 points in between at equal measures is called a 90 or 45-degree angle. Okay? Now, is it exact? No. But it has that momentum. Now, once this starts to get to exhaustion, to which means that it travels over a period of time, is this signal good to get? Well, that's sort of hindsight 2020. You're sort of getting that piece of, you know, we're in a downward trend now. It's established itself. And here we are again. A couple up arrows in a downward trend. Okay. The first one tells us, hey, something's happening. The second one tells us, hey, look, we've established trend. We've established the return of the level. And now we're heading down. So this one is good. The second one is good. And look what happens. Exhaustion. Now, with this one, it doesn't exhaust until right around here. Even this one would have been good. But we would have probably looked at it as exhaustion right about here because we started to curl a little bit halfway through the trade. It might be even a good practice on don't take every single one that comes on. And I'm still only working with one pair here. As the trend starts to flip, when you get a succession of trades happening or signals that happen that start to establish what? the uptrend. Right? As it continues on, you're patiently waiting. You're waiting for a set of signals to start to arrive that will establish a direction. And you're looking for those directions to happen in the trend of that direction. So if you're heading down, you're looking for the establishment, the pullback, and the re-engagement of it. And that's when you're going to get in. That's when you're going to get in. Even if you're going sideways, which it did here for a little while, which means consolidation's happening, you stay out of the market at that point. But you have to be able to notice when those happen. Where do they happen? Well, they happen at our next little gem, which is at the support and resistance level. As you approach these levels, would you, if it already pierced through and was sitting up here, would this have been a good trade to be in? If it was sitting here and still had room to move, the answer would have been no. Well, also because our MACD, sorry, that wasn't a straight line, was pointing in an up position, going against the trade. You see what I'm saying now? So the idea here is to not just blindly follow every single signal and hope for the best. It is to pick out the gems, the big boys, the ones that we know are going to produce because it has validation. It has room to move and work on. And it doesn't give us conflicting information. Now let's look at the MACD just a little bit in accordance with the process itself. What is it that you really want to look at on the MACD? Overall, you can look at crossovers, but remove the idea of thinking about the signal line, which is the yellow line. We use that for momentum. Okay, we use that for a process to kind of help us, to give us a third line to say, okay, if this one's going down and momentum's going down, but this one's sort of just going up, is this the beginning? Is this to pay attention? There's a trade stuff about to happen. And the answer is yeah, you can do that. And then once all three start to move in the same direction, that downward area, okay, now we can wait for the first signal to pop, which is right here, and we're at the beginning of our run. Got me? So the idea here is once you start to establish these rules, rule number 1, is it in a trend? Check. Rule number 2, is the MACD heading in that direction at a nice angle? Yes, check. Can I get the, now we go off chart and we look at, is this signal, where it's up here, okay, is this backed up against and protected by a support or resistance area? Check, yes, boom. This is a perfect signal to get into. Okay, does it have room to move, to go up and kind of go against us? The answer is yes, but if it's a strong level, then you can see where this opposition is. Okay, even though that we're taking it at this level here, we still got room and it still would have won at that point if we were able to get this price. Now, once you go off-site and you go over to Nadex and you're seeing for market price, can you get in? Or are you putting it in for one up, one down, wherever all that is? That's for another video. But in today's video, we're just looking at what is the validation process of validating whether the signal, which is as we've already considered this, we'll refer to as an event. Something's happened over a period of time to say at this level it's broken. So we're calling it as an up arrow. But if we're right here at this point, we've gotten to exhaustion. Okay, we've gotten up to this level right here, and we know that if the support level is right here and this arrow came out right here, would this have been a good idea to kind of fight against support? And the answer is no. Is it going in trend? The answer is yes, so we validated first. Do we got room to move? And the answer is no. Did we have positive support on Dex Macd? And the answer is no. So we would have put another X there. That first X I wouldn't have got in. Creating a flow like this is going to help you understand how to trade with only getting the perfect trades that are validated with the signals. If you want to know more about using trend, you can also use another tool that we have, and it's actually absolutely free. Just put on a moving average and put something like 200 on here and create a stronger color in there so you could see it and hit OK. Oop, I put it in the wrong area. Wait, it kind of went weird. Money flow index. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do the moving average. Let me see if I can find one down here. There we are. Moving average 200. There we go. So something like this. And we can see right now by using a 200 moving average, which uses over the last 200 bars, what is the average direction? We can immediately see that the trend's flat. So if the trend's flat, you might just can kind of consider, hey, I think it's best if I stay out of the process. If the trend starts to bend down a little bit at this point, you're looking at a nice little start, a good flow here. This is a trade you would consider and validate, 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 and then see if you could validate on part of the other process. This would have probably been a good one too to be in here if you could have gotten this price. But you can kind of see now if you put these tools on and you go back in time a little bit, you can start finding out like, well, what the heck works and what doesn't. You can start to see when these things set up, what does it look like when it sets up? What can I get into? So keep that in your mind as you're trading on this 5 minute. I hope this gave you some information to work with this process. And again, don't get too finite where you need to know, well, what happens if I cross over? You know, if there's a crossover here, but yet there's not one on here. Don't worry about all that stuff. Just take a deep breath and look at the overall, where is it going? Has it exhausted? Don't worry about histograms and crossovers and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of look at this, stay in the moment. As this is a flat trend, would I even get into this signal? And you could 20/20 yourself all day long and say, yeah, if I would have gotten to that one because it backed up here and this made it, but you would have lost this one. These two are almost identical. If you could have gotten up here, this would possibly be one you won if you got that price for it. Yeah, it's about 1.5, 2 pips off. But you also got to remember that there's an indicative price on Nadex from that process too. So you always have to keep that in mind. All right, but you're sort of waiting for those perfect trades. As this starts to get to that process, what's the perfect trade? Something like this right here points down to a 45-degree angle. You get in for whatever here, and you definitely win that one. This then tells you you get in on this one because you're still under that same assumption here. But once it starts to go against, this signal here starts to right itself again by this time. You see? And so you've gotten into 3 trades here because you validated 45-degree angle. Even though it's going to crossover in this point, it still gives a signal. At that point, you may have not gotten into this one, but you've done 2 so far. This third one here is then back and revalidated again, and boom. You see? So now you have an opportunity. Start validating the signals because remember, they are all about the event. All right. I hope you gotten something from all this, and I appreciate your time. You guys have a great day. Leave some comments. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel to get right there down the bottom. Subscribe to the channel so you can see other great videos that come out. All right. I'm Max. This is DexIndicators.net, and I look forward to seeing you next time.